So far, this channel has mostly been dedicated to baseball stats, completing vintage sets, and collecting autographs. It's more than just the memorabilia, though. It's the history behind the players and franchises, and the imagery of the sport as an American backdrop, through its characters, uniforms, and even haircuts. Imagery goes a long way in gaining a new audience, and an early advocate of advertising details of the game came from periodicals. From the beginning of the 20th century, one publication known for attracting a wider audience and grabbing readers' attention was the Saturday Evening Post. Most can pick out an issue just by the specific style of its covers, Norman Rockwell and Alan Stevens Foster being its two most noted artists. Here's a brief history of the magazine's covers with the national pastime in mind. The Saturday Evening Post came out in 1897 and was published weekly through 1963. The first issue, featuring a baseball theme, is presented here. It shows a group of young boys fighting for position to get a peek in to see how the baseball game is going instead of using the entrance like a normal person would, and of course paying admission. So they're scrambling over one another to be the next to see the play and tell the rest what's going on in the game. Joseph Leyendecker was the mentor and friend of Norman Rockwell. Most of Norman's works have similarities in their design, which we'll see later. This baseball catcher, in full gear, ready to receive a throw from the outfield perhaps and block the plate from an oncoming runner. Notice the subtle shadow of his on the ground behind his feet. In this image, we see a player sliding into home plate. The defender, not the catcher, based on his apparel, a small glove, and soft baseball cap. And as you can see, the runner lost his cap, rounding the bases on the way home. Sandlot ball, the way boys played back then. No shoes, dirty feet, primitive catcher's mask, small bat, tattered clothes. This is the way kids played back in the early 1910s. Here's a simplistic design. Notice the catcher has a mitt and not a glove. The red hues in his face match that of his sleeves. The face of the player reminds me a bit of another catcher in Ted Simmons. Robert Robinson had a bunch of baseball covers during this time. And in this image, this kid means it, with his tattered pants and adjusted suspenders to make sure his pants won't fall off. Eat your heart out, Gaylord Perry. Ever sit at a game and had one of those guys behind you? Of course, everyone loves to root for their team, but this guy may have said something that the gentleman in front didn't care for, or maybe he's just too loud, or maybe he's stomping his feet too much. Spectators are shown wearing straw hats, dress shirts, ties. Don't see that much around the ballparks anymore. This image is also known as just bunt. And in this issue, Connie Mack authors a large article. After winning 2 consecutive World Series, he tells how he's been able to manage ball clubs and deal with players, umpires, and fans alike. And should you be able to pick up a copy, it is a good read. Another raw sandlot game. In this, the catcher has a great idea. The pitcher seems to be digging it, and the batter seems a bit concerned. Again, ripped pants, suspenders, and no shoes. "30 years before the formation of the Girls Professional Baseball League, this girl is holding a bat instead of the signs like the silhouetted women in the background. And the boy in the front doesn't seem too keen on the idea, as he is looking after her toys, her dolls, and sitting on a soapbox. Don't act like you've never practiced your pitching form in the mirror like this before. Of course, I wouldn't recommend wearing cleats on a vanity chair with a cushioned seat. He's probably just practicing his warm-up. He's not going to throw a ball through the mirror. But if he gets his knee just high enough and squares his shoulders with his hips, he might have it down. This cover is also known as Arguing the Call, in which we have two teammates with the same argument and an umpire who has already made up his mind, it seems. He's looking at his watch, probably not just to check the time, but to see how long it's going to be before he throws these guys out. This is the first post cover ever, which shows the artwork of Norman Rockwell. Seems like the young lad on the right side has decided it was the wrong way to go back home after his stroll with baby brother, maybe. Suit and tie, gloves, derby, and a bottle of milk in the jacket pocket. And you can imagine the teasing he's getting from his classmates. "Morning, ma'am. Lovely day for a stroll, no?" And he's thinking, nuts. Gramps has a wide stance and choking the bat quite a bit. The catcher is so sure this guy is going to strike out, he's calling for such a wide pitch and even has his catching mask set aside. More signs of the time with the clothing, bare feet, suspenders, hats, and this must be a winter of a storm for the entire team to call the game and go home. You can just see it in their faces. Now, it's been 6 years since the last baseball cover, although World War I ended in 1918. Just goes to show you never know what can happen at a ballpark, as this older gentleman is ready to catch a foul ball or maybe a home run. The gentleman down in front to the right, also with a straw hat, seems pleased that this guy's going to make the catch. And the kid on the left is just worried, I hope that ball doesn't fall into my ice cream.